Hey kids, it's Mrs. Dean. Today we are going to be doing an ocean watercolor of a sunrise over the ocean and some beautiful green hills and curly waves. So you're going to need a pencil, a piece of paper, a cup of water, watercolors, a brush, and some sort of indelible permanent marker, preferably black. Okay. Hey, you're gonna need a blank piece of paper. If you have watercolor paper, that works best. You can also use something that has a heavy weight like cardstock or another heavier drawing paper. You're going to need a pencil, a permanent marker, watercolors, and a paper towel and a little cup of water, and also a paintbrush. As you can see, I've already put a small border around my paper. I find this helpful, that way I can take my picture all the way to the edge and then I just cut this off later. All right. I'm gonna do all of my drawing ahead of time with pencil, and I don't want to push really hard, especially if I'm using watercolor or art paper, because it won't erase well later. So light pencil marks, please. I'm gonna imagine that I divide my paper into thirds. And I'm gonna look at the top third and I'm gonna draw a little horizon line. Very lightly. Then above my horizon line, I am going to add in some hills. And then my sun. And I'm gonna make my sun just kind of coming up over the hill, because in my picture it's gonna be sunrise. And then I'm going to draw the rays from my sun, extending out. Now this is why you use pencil and you don't push very hard. Doesn't have to be perfect, and it probably won't be. All right. I'm also going to add in a couple of lines to my hills. Now this looks best if they're not even, because these are where we're going to put different colors later. now I'm gonna go down to the bottom third and I'm gonna start to draw my waves. And the waves are just kind of loop-de-loops. Kind of a strange curly Q. If you've ever seen The Nightmare Before Christmas, it's that hill shape that Jack and Sally are standing on. And I'm gonna make a couple different waves, and I'm going to add in a few these other lines because we want to be able to use different colors. You're going to add in some big ones and some little ones. Remember, you're not pushing really hard because you want to be able to erase this later. Have some facing one direction, others facing the opposite way. And then in the background, you're going to add some squiggly lines, not terribly squiggly. We just want to show that the water in the background is not calm. Okay, next you're going to need your permanent marker. All right, now taking your permanent marker, you can use a fine tip Sharpie, or you can use a regular sized one, but whatever you choose to use, I recommend one with a pointed tip, not one that's been used a bunch of times before. And then you're gonna go through and start to trace over your lines. I kind of like to just retrace my steps based on where I started drawing. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna do the hills, and then I'm gonna do the sun. And then I'm gonna do the water. Now if you don't trace your lines exactly, it's not that big of a deal. All right, after you have traced everything, then take your eraser and erase all of your pencil marks. Once you have your pencil marks erased and you have gone over and made sure that everything is outlined with your permanent marker, and one of the reasons you want to use a permanent marker is you don't want it to bleed. We're going to begin painting. You need a clean cup of water, some watercolors, and just a regular brush. You don't want something that's too fat or too small. This is the brush that I'm using. It's the one that came in my container. And we are going to start at the top and work our way down to the bottom. And the top is going to be mainly warm colors. And we're going to transition down to cool colors. Now, when I say warm colors, I mean colors that make you think of fire. That would be your reds, your oranges, your yellows. And you want to make sure you have enough water in your paint, but not so much that it's going to make your paper really soupy. So I'm going to start by doing the sun. I think that's a good spot to begin. And I'm going to add some yellow. And then I go around and add some orange too. Now if you don't have one, get a paper towel or a napkin, something that you can dab your paintbrush on to get rid of excess water. And I'm just pulling my brush across the yellow with this orange. So I did the middle yellow, and then I went around the outside with orange, and now I kind of mixed the two. I'm gonna do something similar with some of these rays. I'm gonna take some red, and then I'm gonna go back in with a little orange. And I'm not mixing the colors yet. I'm just kind of, here, I'll even zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just making the colors alongside each other. And then I'm gonna take my clean brush with just water on it, and I'm gonna pull those colors together. So the effect is not just getting a red-orange color, it's red with orange running through it. I'm going to do some with some yellow. I'm going to have my yellow be closer to the mountains and the sky that is higher up in my picture. I'm going to have that be more red and orange. I'm going to take a little bit of orange. And dab the spaces. Still not really bringing the colors together much. And then I'm going to clean my brush. And add just a little bit of water, clean water. And then pull those colors together. If your colors are really soupy, you're using too much water. If your colors are, like if you can see your brush strokes, then you're not using enough water. So you want to make sure you have a balance of being able to move a little bit of water around and the paint color, but not so much that it starts to run all over your paper. So I'm going to do some more red. I think I'm going to make these a little bit darker red. So I'm going to use more paint. And if I want it to be a lighter shade of red, I will just use more water. Then I'm going to go back and take some orange. Put the orange alongside the red. And then I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to add a little bit of water and just pull my colors together. Now if at any point you feel like, oh man, I just got way too much water on there, you can take the corner of your paper towel and you can dab it. All right, I have my sunrise. Now I'm going to move on to my land. And this is where the transition from okay, now I have my sunrise. This is where the transition, okay, now I have my sunrise. Next I'm going to move on to the hills. This is where the transition from warm colors to cool colors is going to happen. Because I am going to use some green. And just like I did before, I'm not going to paint an entire section. Paint some of that. I think I'll do another one. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and I'm going to run it alongside my green. Now I'm going to wash my brush, take my clean brush, and move it across the colors. So I get these nice green and yellow hills. If you want, you can even take a little bit of your green paint on the lid and a little bit, tiniest bit of yellow, and you can combine it to make a yellow-green color. So you get a slightly different variation in your colors. And then even take some true green. Run it alongside. And even a little bit of yellow. You don't need to have all the space covered, because then you're gonna take your clean brush with just a tiny bit of water on it, and you're gonna run it over the colors, and they will begin to bleed together, give you this really cool multicolor effect. You'll have some spots that are more yellow, some that look more green. All right, moving right along. Now we transition to the ocean. And we're going to be moving from green to blue-green to purple. So this background, the part that is closer to the shore, is going to be blues and greens. I'm just gonna have spots of light blue that has more water mixed in, and then some places where it's more of the pure color. Now I'm going to take a little bit of green and I'm going to mix that with some blue, and I'm going to stripe in that color at different places, just like I did with my sky. They don't really need to be touching all that much. It's okay if they do. You're just kind of layering in the different colors. And I'm even gonna take some that's really more green than blue. And I might even add in the tiniest bit of blue with some purple. Now I'm going to rinse and repeat. Take my clean paintbrush that I just rinsed off, only has water, and I'm gonna run it through my colors. Now because this is a lot of space, you might need to keep dipping your paintbrush, making sure it's wet and clean so that the colors don't get super muddied. Because the goal is not to have this look all one color. You want to see all the different colors. We just kind of want them to start to bleed together. If you see that the colors have really dried out, you can go quickly add a little in. Or add some more water. But we don't want to be able to see the lines, we just want to see the colors blending. All right, there is my ocean. Now I'm going to do my waves. And these are going to be blue and purple. And since I'm right-handed, I'm going to start on the left side and I'm going to move to the right side. If you're left-handed, you might want to do the opposite of that. And make sure that both my purple and my blue have enough water. I'm also going to make a blue-purple mixture color on my lid. You're going to continue to just alternate blues and purples and maybe even a little green blue here and there until it's all painted. Okay, now that you are finished painting, you can just let it dry. When you're done, you can sign it, and if you like, you can cut off the border, and you're done. All right, I hope you enjoyed this ocean watercolor.